Matthew Hargrove talked to Todd Stewart about Lucky Jackson's potential after going undrafted in the NFL draft last week. Stay tuned to find out what Stewart said later on in the show.
And the NBA playoffs may be postponed, but Miles and I rub the crystal ball and see who came out on top.
The Extra Point.
Well, it took 4 whole years and a whole global pandemic for us to finally be allowed to anchor a show together, Miles, but they didn't tell us we had to build the whole set, so...
Yeah, the best part is they have no clue if I'm wearing pants or not, and I can eat as many corn dogs as I want when this is over. But I guess they didn't really come here to hear us talk about nothing. They came here to hear us talk about sports, so let's get into it. Lucky Jackson didn't get his name called at the NFL draft last week, but his aspirations for playing pro football aren't over. Matthew Hargrove talked to WKU Athletic Director Todd Stewart about Lucky's potential after going undrafted last week.
255 players were drafted into the NFL last weekend, and the guy that had the best chance of getting that huge honor for Western did not get his name called in it. The Top's 2019 receiving yards leader, Lucky Jackson, didn't even hear from an NFL team about getting signed as an undrafted free agent. For the second year in a row now, the Tops have not gotten a player drafted into the league, while other CUSA programs have had much more success this year. 2 players were drafted from Charlotte, FIU, and La Tech, and 1 from FAU, Marshall, and Southern Miss. While things look grim for the former Western star, athletic director for the Hilltoppers, Todd Stewart, is looking at Jackson's situation with a glass half full.
I'm still optimistic that he ends up in a camp, somewhere, because I think if you look at the improvement that he made, I believe he had 115 career receptions going into his senior year, and then had 94 last year, and obviously set the school record for receptions in a game in the bowl game, and I think that just showed incredible improvement.
Stewart has kept in touch with Lucky and says that the wideout is still trying to get signed, but with COVID-19 not allowing mini camps to start up immediately, it makes it more difficult for Jackson to get his potential pro career up and going. He also added the future for Western football in regards to players getting drafted next year is bright, especially on the defensive side of the ball. For the Extra Point, I'm Matthew Hargrove.
Now, one bright spot for Jackson is that nearly 30% of NFL players right now went undrafted, so the ends could turn out to be even better than the means for Jackson.
And former WKU basketball star Chris Marcus passed away last week Thursday at the age of 40. The 7'1" center is one of the most dominant big men to ever step foot in EA Diddle Arena. In 2001, Marcus won Sun Belt Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and won the Sun Belt Tournament MVP, all while leading the entire country in rebounding. He brought so much joy to the hearts of many, and he will certainly be missed by the Hilltopper faithful.
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars. But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
Honorary Forest Ranger Betty White here, lending a hand to my dear friend Smokey Bear. Because for 75 years, he's only said,
only you can prevent wildfires.
But there's a lot more to say. Like if you park your car on tall, dry grass, the hot exhaust pipe can start a wildfire. So keep the animals safe, especially the cute shirtless one. Go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
Roll over. Chance high five. All right.
When you adopt a shelter pet, you discover all the things that make them unique.
And your mother and... I am totally a hot person. Right, guys? Thanks for being honest.
They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love. Adopt pure love at theshelterpetproject.org.
Here's to the things that can keep us safe.
Those we use all the time with hardly a thought. Those that are silently standing by to save our lives. And now, those that we carry with us everywhere we go. Many mobile devices will now bring you wireless emergency alerts, real-time information directly from local sources you know and trust. With the unique sound and vibration, you'll be in the know wherever you are.
Thanks, Noah, for joining the show. And it feels like it's been about a decade since we've last seen each other. Noah, man, how are you holding up over there in Henry County?
We're doing all right, man. Just trying to, survive quarantine, obviously, keep myself occupied with what I can. Playing a lot of NCAA 14, doing my homework when I can, occasional home workout with all the equipment that I have here, which is not very much, but I'm finding creative ways to get a good workout in. So, yeah, I'm doing all right. What about you?
That's good. I'm hanging in there. I've been playing more FIFA than I care to say, but I've been picked up biking. I'm doing a lot of cycling on a bike that Miles bought. So yeah, everything's good for me so far. And best thing that's happened though is we finally had live sports come back. Had the NFL draft this weekend, and I'm not as much of an NFL draft whiz kid like you are. So I just kind of want to talk about some of the kind of the hot topics that kind of came from the draft. At this point, everyone and their mom knows that Joe Burrow went number 1. But really, the wide receivers stole the show. There were about 37 wide receivers taken over the course of the draft. I just kind of hear why so many this year. Why was that draft class just so deep? Or why were coaches just really loving the wide receiver class this year?
Well, this year, this wide receiver class was touted to arguably be the most talented of all time. And where most of these guys who came in and declared as underclassmen, like Jerry Jeudy and Henry Ruggs, they would have been, which credited those 2 first-round picks. But some of the other guys that declared early would have been first-round picks next year, which next year's class is gearing up to be a loaded wide receiver class too. But I think after seeing Kansas City win the Super Bowl with all their weapons on the outside, teams started to put more of an emphasis on drafting fast receivers who make plays in space. And so I think that's the reason why we saw so many receivers go. I believe it was over 35 I believe almost 40 receivers went over the 3 days. So that's the reason why that I think that this class in particular, outside of its talent, wins so much in this draft.
Yeah, I mean, certainly. And I mean, you saw just the speed kill with the Kansas City Chiefs, and you're seeing the speed kill just through this draft class as well. And you kind of mentioned that, it's a very talented wide receiver class. And I think 20% of the picks in the first 2 rounds were wide receivers. So 1 in 5 players were a wide receiver. It was just kind of insane to me that could even happen. Kind of a thing that really surprised me about the draft, just kind of going over a lot of the kind of mock draft boards, is that Henry Ruggs went before Jerry Jeudy, both from Alabama, and you just even mentioned both of them yourself. So was that a little strange that you saw the Henry Ruggs go over Jeudy?
And no, I don't think so. And the reason why is because earlier in the week there was a report that in 2018 Jerry Jeudy had a knee issue that teams didn't know about that came to light. But the other thing is that when you look at who took Henry Ruggs, it was the Las Vegas Raiders, who play in the same division as Kansas City. And in the past, teams in the AFC West have been torched by Tyreek Hill in punt return, kick return, and over the middle, just because of his killer speed. And then Henry Ruggs has been touted as a guy that can run 4.2 and step for step like Tyreek Hill. So I think the Raiders' mentality was that if they can get a guy like Tyreek Hill, maybe credited they don't have Patrick Mahomes and they have Derek Carr, but maybe that weapon can help them compete with Kansas City out west.
Gotcha. That's a really good point. Also, of course, with everyone going on lockdown so early, a lot of coaches probably didn't even have the chance to see a player like Jerry Jeudy to kind of analyze kind of that injury he got there in 2018 as well. I knew a couple other teams were very unsure of players that did have an injury history in their past. But kind of moving forward away from the wide receivers to a player who very well could be playing wide receiver for the Eagles in Jalen Hurts. It was really unusual to see him go to a team that already has such a strong quarterback in Carson Wentz. Of course, he has had injury troubles in the past. Do you think that was more so just trying to find a backup, trying to find a safety or a safe pick, a safe backup, or were they trying to mix that up a little bit and try to kind of mix up their playbook with Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, I think in what Doug Peterson's already said is that he wants the Eagles to be a quarterback factory. And so I think that he saw what the Eagles got, which credited they didn't get anything, but they turn Nick Foles into what he got, and he got plenty of money in Jacksonville. But I think that Jalen Hurts was drafted for the fact that they see what's going on down in New Orleans with Drew Brees working under center and then having Taysom Hill come in as an athlete in different packages to touch the ball however he can and make an impact. I think Jalen Hurts can do the same because whenever he was at Alabama, they with Tua Tagovailoa implemented the Aqua package, the Aqua package, which is where two quarterbacks are on the field at the same time. Jalen Hurts caught a couple passes from the slot in those types of sets. So maybe we see Jalen Hurts play that type of role, or maybe Doug Peterson really does just see him as a quarterback that, for if Carson Wentz, we know that he's been injury prone in the past, does get hurt, that he has a chance to develop in and turn him into a star, and maybe even in the future, whenever his rookie contract's up, maybe trade him and turn him into something that could help their team in terms of draft capital and younger players and stars for their future.
Right. Now, I love Jalen Hurts. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks that was in this draft. Just such a smart player. It seems like he's already built like a professional. He's so great in front of the media. It always seems like a very just kind of well-mannered leader. I just want to say thanks for joining the broadcast, and hope you stay safe out there in Henry County.
Absolutely. Stay safe, Nathan.
All right. Thanks, Noah. While pro sports are still at a standstill in America, there is still a beacon of hope over in Europe. The English Premier League has penciled in May 18th as the date when teams can return to full training. While a few players have shown their concern over safety, teams like Tottenham and Arsenal are gradually opening training grounds for individual training. They plan to resume games on June 8th.
And on the NBA side, the NBA is actually allowing teams who are in less restrictive states to start opening their practice facilities for individual workouts on May 8th, so just about a week from now. And that gets to provide some interesting stuff for us this summer, because I, at least about 2 weeks ago, didn't think there was any chance we were seeing an NBA playoffs. And now it's looking a little more possible.
Right. I figured the NBA playoffs, if they were going to happen, was going to be closer to the fall time. And, honestly, going back, 4 or 5 months ago, this was genuinely the most excited I'd ever been for an NBA playoff series, with just how deep it was, how competitive it was going to be. So it's great to hear that they're actually going to, do whatever they can to get things started again. But Miles, what do you think an NBA playoff could look like if we were to see it kind of in the future in June or July start date?
Well, I think we'd certainly not see any fans in the stadium, no matter what. I think pretty much everyone has agreed on that at this point. But, even LeBron James just yesterday said, I don't know anybody that doesn't want to play right now. So while you have on the Premier League, there's a couple of players that are kind of showing resistance right now. Everybody in the NBA up to this point has been enthusiastic about playing that. And, to me, if they can find out a way to keep it safe. I know the NBA has a lot of money, so they can surely figure out some way to keep these players isolated from people, maybe keep them in a hotel directly across from the stadium or something like that, or, whatever they need to do. But if the plan ends up being safe, I think the NBA should give us this season, because, the NBA is probably the most balanced and talented it's ever been, with both of those factors considered, probably in history.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was listening to an NBA analyst earlier this week, and he actually brought up a very interesting point that, they could just completely isolate a hotel, kind of like you said, and just do everything in 2-3 training facilities. Los Angeles would be a great city for that. You have the LA Clippers facility, you have the LA Lakers facility. You have 2 games going on at the same time, so you can definitely go through it. So I really can't wait to see what we have for the future of the NBA, especially with just how much all the players and staff just want to get this thing going and get the NBA back on track. So it's going to be exciting regardless, Miles.
Yeah, and if you've been like me during this quarantine, you've probably not been able to kind of deny your urge for the sweets. I've been looking in the freezer, seeing the ice cream, and I just cannot resist it at any point. And if you're anything like me, I probably wouldn't watch our next block. And even if you have been able to resist the ice cream, I guess if you haven't been doing any kind of weight, jaw resistance training, you probably also don't need to watch this next section. So you're going to need healthy teeth and a healthy jawline, because that's right, next week's jaw dropper coming right up.
Oh yeah, we also go for 2, by the way.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
we score, we're going to the playoffs.
I can't believe I missed that.
Every time I'm buzzed, I spend too much time on my phone.
What? I should take your phone away.
No. I'll call for a ride.
Hey, why does my face look like that? I'm playing with these new face filters.
Okay, you know what? Yep, that's mine.
Kevin, I need that back.
No.
Kevin!
1 in 3 adults has pre-diabetes. That means it could be you, your favorite brother, your other brother, you, your football buddy, your football buddy, you, your plumber,
Breathe right into your foot.
your plumber's masseuse,
Yes.
you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. With early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Because of you, I felt hopeless. I know it was a joke, but it still hurt me. Because of you, I felt wanted and not alone in this world.
Because you said hi to me on the first day of school, I felt included, and I knew that I was going to be okay.
It's been a magical year of sports, and we're not going to let a big bad virus stop us from talking about it. So for this week's Jaw Dropper, we're going to look back at our top 5 favorite sports moments of the year. At the number 5 spot, we head to Spartanburg, South Carolina, where WKU baseball coach John Pawlowski got his 600th win as a head coach. The former major leaguer has brought a resurgence in his 5 years on the Hill that culminated in WKU's first CUSA tournament win last year.
And at the 4 spot, we have a clip that, although it seems like it happened a year ago, actually only happened 64 days ago. Tavion Hollingsworth playing against La Tech at home. And in this game, the Tops trailed by 15 points with 3:23 left. Tavion Hollingsworth hits the game-tying shot to send it into overtime, and then the Tops go on to win 95-91 thanks to Hollingsworth's huge performance.
And at number 3, we are going with WKU's football renaissance, led by first-year head coach Tyson Helton and a terrifying defense that tore up opposing quarterbacks. The Hilltoppers posted a 9-4 record after going just 3-9 in 2018. The season was capped off perfectly as WKU kicker Corey Munson pinged a 52-yard field goal between the uprights with no time on the clock. This gave the Hilltoppers their first bowl win since 2016. With only 2 defensive starters graduating, WKU football is on the rise.
And at number 2, we have a shot from Travis Hudson and the Lady Toppers volleyball team, and yet again, they exceed expectations this year. They go dominate Conference USA, get to the NCAA tournament, and they showed up for this. 5,023 fans show up for the game. Sadly, though, the ladies lose in the 5th set to Louisville in the round of 32, but yet again, this was another season that Travis Hudson and the ladies didn't disappoint.
And our jaw dropper of the year goes to the Greenwood Lady Gators soccer team. And our jaw dropper of the year goes to the Greenwood Lady Gators soccer team. The Lady Gators ended the year with 23 wins, 2 losses, and insane 133 goals, and their first state championship in school history. So congrats to you, Lady Gators, for winning the extra points jaw dropper of the year.
It is our favorite players. So with that said, I think we should go ahead and get into our draft. We did a draft from here on. And Nathan got the first pick on the coin toss. Well, I deferred for home court advantage, actually, because I'm playing it smart. I want the game at Diddle. So I made sure to do that. But Nathan got the first pick, so tell him who you picked and why.
Right, so obviously, we did say these aren't the best players in program history, or really the best players since we've been here. So I wanted to go with my personal favorite player with the first overall pick, and that had to be the sauciest player in WKU history, Lamonte Bearden. That man goes one-on-one. You're not stopping him. He is going to the basket with his infinite amount of dribble moves. So Lamonte, you are my starting point guard, sir. Miles, who you got?
I started out with my power forward. I mean, any great championship team has to have a nice fundamental big man. Tim Duncan did it with the Spurs for so many years, and that's what Justin Johnson kind of represented to me when I was here at WKU. Just a player who's going to give you roughly the same 20 and 10 night every single night. get you a block or two, and is going to be able to shoot from roughly anywhere in the mid-range zone. Maybe not going to be the best three-point shooter on the team, but can at least stretch the floor to where you have to guard him out there. And he just provides so many problems for a defense, so I got him at number 1.
Right, I remember going back to that 2017-18 season, his senior year, and I just remember, regardless of who was guarding him, he even had 7-footers guarding him at some times, and he just hit that nice little fadeaway from the free throw line, and it was going in just about every time. So, yeah, that's going to be a tough player for my team to guard for sure, regardless of what big man I have. But moving to the second round, I really wanted to get the crowd on their feet. Not going to have home court advantage, so, when I do head to Diddle Arena, going to have to silence them with none other than Josh Anderson, maybe the most exciting player to ever play for the Hilltoppers, at least has the most SportsCenter top 10 plays of the week, because that man was a human highlight reel. He jumped out of the gym every time, and I've never seen anyone get a WKU crowd more loud than Josh Anderson. Absolutely electrifying. So I got to bring him in at that small forward position, Miles. Who are you going to go with in the second round?
Well, I always like a nice big man, so I'm going to go with Charles Bassey in the second round as well. So, I'm going to have a solid rebounding core down there, a freak athlete, along with just a all-around beautiful player in Justin Johnson. So my kind of front court is going to be pretty dominant in this game based on what you have left in your options, but you've got the guard play nailed down, Nate.
Yeah, it's true. They say hard over height, and hopefully this is what that team's going to have. We're certainly going to have a whole lot of dribble moves and a whole lot of exciting play. We're going to put fans in the seats, that's for sure. But going into the third round, I had to bring this one all the way back to my freshman year at Western. Certainly not one of the best years for the Western basketball team, but one of my most fond, just because I got to watch none other than easily, again, the best name on WKU's basketball team, Pancake Thomas. Really just one of the unsung heroes of that team, and just brought them together with a score when they needed one. Also, fun fact for you guys, has a great rap album on SoundCloud. Go check it out, Pancake Thomas. It's fantastic. But really, with a 40% three-point shot, and also led that 2016-17 team in minutes, he's easily got to be a leader on the court for me, for sure.
Yeah, and in that situation, I got to go with Tavion Hollingsworth, somebody who can match up well with Pancake in that scenario. And I think Tavion's the perfect guy to do it. He's probably the best perimeter defender I've seen at WKU when he wants to be, for sure. And even when he's, given even just a remote effort, he's still better than, at defense at least, than a lot of WKU guards. And in a lot of games as well, like we talked about earlier in the show, he's going to drop you 30, 40-plus points. And so he can really do it all. He can shoot, he can pass, and really, he can defend well. So I got to go with Tavion Hollingsworth at the 3.
Right, and I got Josh Anderson at the 4. I got Pancake Thomas at the 3, so missing a shooting guard, missing a center, as you see it right up there. And for that shooting guard position, I'm going to go with another scorer, just kind of like you. I'm going with Darius Thompson. One of the best scorers I've gotten to see at Western, averaged 14 points a game in his 1 year at Western Kentucky. That's right on par with Charles Bassey, right on par with Tavion Hollingsworth. Really just one of those do-it-all scorers. And not only that, but he came from the University of Virginia, so you're getting a hard-working player out of him. You're getting a fundamental defender as well, and I'm going to need the defense with just how big that team is and how strong that team is on the offensive floor, or on the offensive side of the floor. So I'm going with Darius Thompson at that 2 guard.
Yeah, and I needed a little perimeter shooting at this point, so I went with Carson Williams, and he's a guy that can not only give you perimeter shooting, but also gives you a nearly the same rebounding ability as Justin Johnson. So all 3 of my kind of front court possible guys are really great rebounders here. So that was kind of the premise behind my team, and Carson Williams just kind of fits that role perfectly and can do anything at that small forward spot. I've got a nice versatile team here.
Yeah, you pretty much have almost the exact same player in Carson Williams and Justin Johnson, just at 2 different positions, both so fundamental, got that free throw jumper down pat regardless of who's on him. Also, Carson Williams had one of the best field goal percentages since we've been at Western as well, so definitely a solid pick for you, and it's going to be a fun matchup between Josh Anderson and Justin Johnson or Carson Williams right there. But let's get into round 5. Don't have many choices left, and I got a center, I have a point guard, or a center to choose from. So I think I'm going to go with the center, Dwight Colby, an unsung hero of that famed 2017-2018 roster. Started the year off a little slow. He didn't really get many minutes when he played at Kansas the prior year. But by the end of the year, was so fun to watch, just seeing him go from, just kind of a player trying to fit in to being that unsung hero, that player, that go-to player when no one else could get things going on the offensive end. Not only that, but he averaged 11 points and 8 rebounds and got 11 double-doubles on the year. So, again, comparable stats to Charles Bassey. So, if anyone's going to keep up with Bassey, it's going to be Colby for sure.
Yeah, and then the one thing that I guess fans might consider a weak spot of my team is Delano Banton, but he's got to be one of the most entertaining players we've seen at WKU. The closest thing to a, not the talent level, obviously, not even really that close, but Magic Johnson is the closest comparison I can think of as far as a play style. You got a 6'8" point guard who just loves to back you down to the basket as far as scoring, but is much better at passing than he can score, and is a pretty solid defender. We never really got to see him mature at WKU, never got to see him, kind of take that next step, and really we just kind of saw him decrease his minutes because of the turnover rate that he produced when he was out there. Turnovers were kind of the big killer for his minutes, and that's why we eventually ended up kind of seeing him transfer schools. But for what we have here, I mean, we've got a beautiful basketball game, but I say I gotta go with my team on the win here as far as when it comes down to it, especially with the home court advantage.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm winning, it's gonna be in transition because, I only have one player over 6'8", and your point guard is 6'8", so it's gonna be a nightmare guarding Delano Banton with Lamonte Beard at like 6'1". So yeah, I'm definitely gonna win like one game in the series, but I feel like you got me in like a 4-1 sweep if we're going, or 4-1 series if we're going for a 7-gamer. But I'd say my team's definitely gonna have a higher attendance record that year for sure.
Without a doubt, and I'm sad that the terms have kind of forced it to be this way, but this is our first and last ever show. It's an emotional moment for me because, the extra point is kind of how we became friends, why we're sitting in this apartment right now. It's like it's why I'm here right now. It's literally, this was a huge part of our lives, and now we don't really get to say bye to it in the studio, but nonetheless, I'm so glad that Nick and Olivia decided to let us anchor our last show together and finish the semester out right.
Yeah, not only that, but I'm so grateful for all the fans out there that got to see us over the years, got to see us kind of grow and develop, and just for all the broadcasters and students out there that just kind of helped us out through the years, kind of helped teach us, going all the way back to Marcus and Willow. Shout out to you guys for just showing us the ropes, showing us just kind of how it got done. And even going back to Sam, although Sam, you did not give us a show together, we still got one together. It had to happen, but you brought so much, and really without you, we would have never even got to this point in the first place, honestly. So thank you, Sam. Thank you to all the other broadcasting students out there. And I think, there's only one thing left to say with the show.
And it's up.
And it's good.